Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of First Look Final Word, podcast where we take you along to see a movie with us. I'm Pete.
And I'm Trevor. What's going on, you blood suckers?
Yes, today's episode is Nosferatu.
Yeah, and just a quick synopsis before we get going. A gothic tale of obsession between a haunted young woman and the terrifying vampire infatuated with her. It's a bit of a spoiler, I say. Causing untold horror in its wake.
Can you really have spoilers? Can you have spoilers for this?
I think there's two spoilers there. One that there's a vampire and one that it's a horror movie.
I feel like if you go into this movie and you don't understand there's a vampire and it's a horror movie, then I don't know what to tell you.
Maybe you're just a big Bill Skarsgård stan. You just show up for whatever he's in.
Maybe.
So, anyways, for people who are new to the podcast, Pete and I we're literally in a car right now. We're gonna drive to the movie. Chat about some stuff, and then we're gonna see Nosferatu and give our spoiler-free immediate reactions to the movie before giving you lots of warning before we go into spoiler talk.
Yes, and Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year, Trevor.
Yeah, and I haven't seen you since we last recorded,
I haven't
right?
seen. This is the first time I've seen you in 2025.
First time I've seen you in person ever.
Yeah. Normally drive separate cars. That would be insane.
Yeah, like this premise isn't like logistically difficult enough. Well, so it's a new year.
We got big plans, right, Trevor?
Yeah, it's a new year for the whole world and for First Look Final Word.
Everyone, yeah.
So if people saw, like we're trying to be proactive in posting out our schedule, so we have our full month of January out there for people to look at.
Do you want to quickly run through it, or just point people to look for themselves?
Well, now I got to remember everything that we're doing.
I know, I put you on the spot there, didn't I?
So this week,
hold on, I'll pull it up.
This week we're seeing Nosferatu, and then also throughout the month we're going to go see a double header of The Fly and The Thing, which I'm really, really excited about.
Yeah, so that'll be on the 17th, but before that, we're getting into our Aardman stuff, right?
Oh yeah, so next week is Vengeance Most Foul. And we'll talk a little bit more about Aardman in a sec.
Yeah.
And then, so it's The Thing, and then...
there we have a tap off the month with Ghost in the Shell.
Ghost in the Shell, yeah, which, have you seen that one before?
I don't think I have seen that one, actually.
I've seen it, I love it, but it's been a long time, so, and I've never seen it in a theater before, too, so those are all theater things we're seeing, right?
Some classics this month, guys.
Yeah, well, we were padding it out with some classics because January can be a bit of a
wasteland.
Yeah. And if you can go see our episode on ISS last year.
We learned from doing this for over a year that maybe don't just pick anything that's out that week, because if it's dross, then people are not going to want to hear about it, which is totally fair.
Yeah.
Although ISS I didn't hate.
I didn't hate it either, but like it was clearly dumped in January for a reason.
Dumped, and nobody liked it.
Yeah, I think we were probably the biggest fans, and I'm like, yeah, it's 2.5 out of 5.
It's a good Netflix movie.
It's not total garbage.
It's not total garbage. Put it on the poster.
So we hinted at this a little bit. We're going to start doing these ongoing projects on the podcast.
Yes. Excited for this one.
And we're going to be talking like mostly on the drive to the theater. So then there's a bit of consistency, and like, people will know what we're going to be talking about a little bit each week. So that even if you're not interested in seeing that movie that we're talking about that week, then you can kind of still check into these ongoing projects, which will all be things that you can kind of watch along from home.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not just a new movie or a classic movie that we're seeing on the theater. It's also some other stuff that we're watching that you guys can watch along with us.
Yeah, and so to link up with the first Wallace and Gromit feature in 20 years, we decided that we're going to watch every single Aardman short and feature-length film, which is a taller task than I realized that when I suggested this to you.
When you said let's do that, I was like, yeah, cool, that'd be good. There's only a few, right? And then, when I saw the list, I was like, I mean, they're only shorts, so it's fine. But I mean, wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, so it's I've been interested in doing this for a while because I've seen like I've seen Chicken Run, I've seen Were Rabbit, I've seen Wrong Trousers,
Yeah,
but
everyone knows the Wallace and Gromit stuff, right? So, but the Aardman have done so much stuff over the years. I mean,
I've seen
going since the 70s.
I've seen the odd Shaun the Sheep thing.
Right. Yeah.
I'm aware of Morph as a character.
That's funny you mentioned that. I was going to ask you about that.
I'm aware of him as a character because I feel like they have a lot of stuff that kind of just pops up on Reddit or something every now and then.
Right.
And like a lot of stuff that they did, I've sort of have seen or I have awareness of that I didn't really realize was theirs.
Right. Yeah.
Before I started getting into this project, I didn't realize like how weird some of their stuff is.
No, I know their early stuff was specifically
super weird.
Yeah, very weird.
So we'll kind of give a heads up when we get into that talk if people want to kind of skip ahead to that.
Yeah.
Skip ahead to just a review of Nosferatu, or you can even pause the podcast right now and take a look at the watch list, which we'll post to the link in the bottom of this podcast feed.
There you go.
So there's 13 short films for this week. Not really that big of a tall task. It was like an hour and 40 minutes worth of material to get through.
It sounds like a lot, but it's not like a short film. It's like a 3 or 4 minute little skit, mostly.
Yeah, there's a few. There's a few longer ones in there this week.
Mostly just short clips, especially the earlier stuff.
Yeah. So, but for right now, we want to kind of get into expectations on Nosferatu?
Sure. Yeah. Let's kick it off.
All right. So, what's your history with vampires?
Wow, yeah.
Are you a vampire? I've seen you during the day, so I know.
Yeah, I know we mostly drive at night. But no, I'm not a vampire.
Okay,
thankfully.
Good to know.
Not that I'm aware of, at least.
I have invited you into my home.
I might be a day walker.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
You never know, right?
So I say, like, before we were doing this project thing, we might have said, like, what's our favorite vampire movie? So, yeah.
True.
Blade 2.
Blade 2 is a good, Blade's awesome. This is a resurgence of Blade, right?
Yeah.
From 2024. Would not be upset if he came back.
So who's your favorite Dracula?
Yeah, Dracula, I don't have a lot of truck with. Like, I've seen, like, Bram Stoker's Dracula, so
like the Francis Ford Coppola one?
Yeah. So I'd probably have to say that one. But I don't think I'm not like a classic horror guy. So I've not seen any of the old stuff. Like I've never seen Nosferatu, like the original one, or any of the old like Christopher Lee stuff.
Well, I was playing that Cinematrix game. I'm sure some of our listeners are familiar with that one.
Oh yeah,
and
sponsor us.
Yes. This episode is sponsored by Cinematrix.
By the way, guys.
If we just say that someone's sponsoring us, do they legally have to pay us at that point?
I don't believe so, no.
Okay.
It's worth a shot.
Well, yeah, I'm going to get my lawyer on the phone about that one. But one of the rows was, any person who's played Dracula.
Oh, really?
And it counted Nosferatu under that category.
Right? We can get into that. It's basically the same story, right?
But I've seen the original German silent film,
right?
And I've seen kind of 1.5 of the versions that Werner Herzog did.
Oh, really?
In the 70s, because they would film a scene in German and then they would film a scene in English right after that.
Really?
The English version is like atrocious, so I didn't make my way through it. But the German one's really, really good.
I have not seen that.
Yeah, because like all the actors are German and they're just like speaking English like phonetically.
God, that'd be brutal.
And then I love the Coppola one, and I like the original Dracula as well. I still haven't seen there's like a Spanish language version of that original Dracula.
Oh, okay.
As well. I haven't seen that.
I was even aware of it.
Yeah, well, it's kind of an interesting story. Like they filmed like the English version, and then they would break for the day, and then they'd let like the Spanish crew film using the same sets.
Oh, really?
And it's supposed to be like technically a superior film because
that's crazy. I wasn't aware.
Well, because like the Spanish director would like watch what the English crew would do, and then he would get ideas on how to improve it. Then he would just do better later that night.
But better. Right.
So I do really want to see that one eventually.
It's interesting.
And then what's your experience with Eggers as a director?
I haven't seen The Witch, but I hear it's amazing. Have you seen it?
It's his best one, I think.
Yeah, everyone says it's made, but I don't know. there was that spate of like really great horror movies coming out, and I just didn't watch any of them because I'm not a big horror movie guy.
Well, The Witch coming out like really kind of got me back into horror.
Yeah,
like,
they felt like it was.
it's like a
It was
like
like
a
the start of
resurgence.
that
Yeah.
resurgence of really great original horror movies coming out, and I remember hearing about how amazing it was at the time, but I just never brought myself to watch it. But I loved The Lighthouse. Absolutely loved that movie. It's so
Yeah.
crazy. It's so good.
Yeah, I love that movie so much. It's amazing. I would also say it's a horror movie too.
Basically, right? Yeah. I actually read something this week about the scene where Willem Dafoe does that big like he recites that big long scene and he's like not blinking.
Yeah.
Like he said that like he did that for real. Like
Oh, really?
he literally just banged that out with
How long is that?
breaks.
That's like 2.5 minutes.
2.5 minutes.
Right?
Didn't blink once. He was just like in it. It's like wow.
Did we mention Willem Dafoe in our episode of people who should have an Oscar by now? Because
I don't think we did, but that's a good point.
check out our episode on Conclave where we had that discussion. But yeah, Willem Dafoe, just like in The Lighthouse, he's playing such a ridiculous character. But like,
he got nominated for that? Though,
no,
did he not?
No, it's
That's
crazy.
Crazy.
It's an incredible performance. Yeah,
did it get any nominations?
I don't think it got any nominations.
I swore it did.
Don't trust me. Like, look it up.
Well, you're more fair on the Oscars than I am. You know how I feel about the Oscars. I don't really follow it, but I maybe maybe it was a different awards show.
I think his nominations are for that Van Gogh movie.
Right.
What the heck's that one called? Like Eternity's Edge or something. And I think he also got nominated for the Florida Project, but I think those are his only two.
Wow, that's pretty crazy, man. He's been doing solid work for so long.
I know. Well, I feel like people don't take him as seriously as they should.
Yeah, maybe not. No, but yeah, he was amazing in that. Well, they both were.
Well, yeah, that's kind of when I started realizing that Pattinson is actually like a legit great actor.
He's pretty legit, right? Yeah, for sure. It's crazy. His career path has been insane.
Well, and he's kind of like up until he did the Batman, he like basically like was ignoring doing big budget stuff.
Just, I'm just gonna do whatever
more interesting stuff
shit I want to do.
Then played like the third lead in Tenet.
Right. Yeah.
Like to just wanting to work with like interesting directors. Then along the way, he learned how to be a pretty damn good actor, in my opinion.
That's pretty much how it went, right? It's just like I'm gonna do. I mean, Daniel Radcliffe kind of did the same kind of thing, but he's not really reached the same heights. Like he's done some really weird, like wild swings of movies.
Well, he did that West End play where he's naked the whole time, right?
Yeah, but have you seen like what's the one where he plays like a corpse? Swiss Army Man. You seen Swiss Army Man?
No.
You got to see Swiss Army Man. It's insane.
I think that's on Prime. I've seen that.
Yeah, you should watch it. It's crazy.
Is that a horror movie?
No, it's a really weird movie. I don't really know how to explain it, but it's just like surreal. He plays like a corpse that this other guy kind of uses. Or like I can't even explain it. You just got to watch it, but it's insane. It's so good. But it's like stuff like that, and like the one where he has like the guns, like screwed to his hands. Have you seen that one? Or nailed to his hands? It's like guns. Is it Guns Akimbo?
Guns Akimbo. Yeah.
It's like he's got all the money in the world, and he probably gets a lot of offers. So he's just like, I'm going to do whatever crazy shit.
He's just running away from Harry Potter as fast as he can.
Exactly what it is, right?
But poor guy, like he could be like 80, then he'll die, and
he'll always be Harry Potter.
Daniel Radcliffe, best known for playing Harry Potter.
Yeah. Well, he'll probably get pulled back into it at some point.
At least like a guy like Harrison Ford has eventually been able to like escape, his small role in American Graffiti.
Yeah, exactly. You just gotta keep doing it though, right? Just do different stuff that's just as good, which is easier said than done.
And then we went to see The Northman together, right?
Was that for the pod or was that just before the pod?
No, that was one of our first movie-going experiences together.
Right. That was
and that's probably my least favorite of his.
Chrysalis of the pod there.
Yeah. We're just like, what if we were recording this discussion we're having on the drive back?
I can't remember what we thought of that, but I remember not being super thrilled with it. I think I had high expectations for that one going in.
I know that I wasn't really expecting it to be like, this quiet revenge tale, basically.
Exactly, yeah. Maybe I feel like maybe they marketed that. They did that whole
a little more action
switch with the marketing, where it's like this is not the movie you marketed.
Well, he was hanging out on like a sheep farm for a long time, for that movie.
Like I'd have to revisit that because I don't remember thinking it was a bad movie, but I just like that wasn't what I was expecting, and it kind of just didn't feel fulfilling.
And that was Alex Skarsgård, right?
Yeah. That's his.
Is that brother? Is that a cousin?
I think it's his brother.
I know they're all related.
Because he was the one. He was going back to vampires. Wasn't he in True Blood?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It all comes full circle.
Maybe they're all vampires in reality. It's like that. What they do.
It's a land without sun.
It's like, did you see do you ever watch What We Do in the Shadows?
Yeah.
It's like
both the movie and the show. I'm a huge fan.
Yeah,
of.
like the gag in that is like they're actually vampires and they just be in vampire movies. Like,
yeah.
Blade.
Talk
to the council and it's like Blade and
Tilda Swinton.
Yeah. It's like you're actually vampires. Just show up and do the movies.
Yeah, that was a good bit.
Yeah,
I still need to watch the last season of that.
Yeah, I haven't watched the last. Is it still showing or is it done now?
I think they just wrapped up.
Yeah, I usually wait until it's done and then try and go back and binge it. But yeah, it's such a great show.
Yeah, so I think the Northmen ended up like being I think it was a money loser.
Yeah, I would have thought so.
Because between The Witch and The Lighthouse, both of which were like smaller budget ones, like Northman was like, I think like $80 million or whatever. And that didn't really make a big dent at the box office.
Well, and I had read that he wanted to do Nosferatu as like his second movie. But I feel like maybe he just didn't have quite enough juice for being able to get that one off the ground.
Yeah,
like I'm going to redo Nosferatu.
Well, and I don't mind that he waited, like kind of honed his skill a little bit.
Exactly.
So I'm a huge Eggers fan. So like he's already reached the status where I'll go to see whatever he puts together.
Yeah, I think he originally had Johnny Depp lined up for it.
For Nosferatu?
For not for whatever his name is.
Count Orlok?
I think it would have been the I don't know any of the character names, but like the human guy character.
Okay. Yeah, because it's not quite like the Dracula character names either. Like
no, they changed them all, right? I think it's funny because I heard that I read that was mostly just so that they didn't get sued. It was like a copyright thing.
Yeah.
Which I was reading about it today actually, and they actually did get sued by the Stoker estate, and they won, and the court ordered all of this for the original Nosferatu, ordered all copies to be destroyed, part of the court ruling.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. So,
but a few survived, I guess, and then it became a cult. Like it became a classic cinematic.
Oh, I had no idea. Well, why wouldn't they just want to like collect the royalties from that?
I don't know. It's crazy, destroyed? Right? I guess they just wanted to keep it pure. It's such an interesting thing that it happened. It's like they changed a few of the names and used the exact same story, and it ended up being like really good.
Yeah. Well, it's probably like so early that like copyright law wasn't. I was just gonna say,
I bet it's really if you're really into that kind of thing, I bet it's a really good case study for like the history of copyright law and how things evolve. But yeah, we won't get into that right now because neither of us know anything about it.
If anyone wants to email us a copy of like a really good like
copyright law in the 20s,
like a case law study on Nosferatu and Dracula movies and stuff like that,
right?
Like we'll link it to the podcast episode.
So that's my question. Like, why do you think that Eggers wanted to do Nosferatu and not just do Dracula? Because I feel like Dracula has better name recognition.
Well, I think like I would just have to guess that like he finds like that both the original I think like 1923 or whatever, like just like completely haunting, and like the character design of Nosferatu is different than Dracula. Like he is not sexy. Like he like literally just looks like a bat goblin human.
Yeah, like a weird freaky goblin thing.
So like I feel like just like people who'd like tune in for the Aardman stuff.
Like what are they talking about?
Yeah, and like the Herzog one too, like it's just like a terrifying beastly creature, and then it just it's so much darker than Dracula is. Like, and like Dracula is already kind of dealing with like with death and seduction, and this one is that like even more bleak and even more dark.
Well, I just thought of another Dracula. You asked me about Draculas earlier. What about Leslie Nielsen? Dracula Dead and Loving It.
Yeah.
I'd forgotten about that one.
That's a bad movie.
It really is, man. It's not one.
That's Mel Brooks too, right? Or is that a Zucker?
I can't remember who it was that did that one, but yeah, it wasn't one of the best. There's a few lemons in the Leslie Nielsen canon.
Well, like he kind of just like he realized that him just doing his thing was funny.
Yeah.
And I feel like he never really understood why he was funny.
No, he's just like, I'll just do it straight.
Yeah.
Do it deadpan.
Oh yeah, and they're coming out with the new Naked Gun movie.
Yeah, he's not around anymore though, is he? Is he dead?
Oh no, yeah, he's long dead. It's Liam Neeson is playing him, which I think is actually really great casting.
Yes, I do remember that.
I think it's a terrible idea, but if like that's probably the best casting you could get.
Yeah, he'll be great. It really does depend on how well it's written, but he could deliver a deadpan like.
Let's do some improvisational comedy.
Yeah, like ever since he saw that bit in the extras, it'll just.
No, that's Life is Short.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, is it? Oh, wow.
You know, the Warwick Davis, but it's still Ricky Gervais. Yeah,
same diff.
Same diff. Yeah, well, it is basically the same sort of show.
No, he was so good in that though.
All right, so
anything else vampire related we wanted to get into? We didn't talk about Interview with a Vampire. You an Interview with a Vampire fan?
Yeah, that was.
I
was big into like horror books.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a whole books thing.
So right? I read like 4 or 5 of those.
Anne Rice
books, yeah.
Yeah, I've not read any of the books, but I did see.
So I read like the Vampire Lestat and Queen of the Damned,
all that stuff. They did a movie of Queen of the Damned, didn't they?
Yeah, I think it was like 2002 or something like that. I've seen it. I don't really remember it.
One of those lame 2000s movies.
Interview with the Vampire is okay.
Yeah,
I think it's fine.
It's a pretty bit of a classic.
Is it a classic at this point?
I think so.
Okay.
Is it not?
I don't know.
I would say it.
I don't like it that much. So
no, you don't like it? I thought it was good.
It's got some really good imagery. I don't really like Pitt or Cruise in that movie.
Oh no,
not really. No,
fair enough.
I like. I think Kirsten Dunst is really great.
Oh yeah. Was that her first movie?
It's got to be one of her first.
She was so young in that.
Is that before Jumanji?
Must have
Probably, yeah.
Or around the same time, maybe. It's the rise of Kirsten Dunst.
Yeah, we're Kirsten Dunst stands on this podcast.
Are we?
No, we've already talked about how you don't like her and how I'm actually a fan.
Oh yeah, that was our
Civil War episode.
Yeah, she was good in that though.
We're getting so long in the tooth that we're just referencing all these old episodes now.
Like, please listen to our old stuff.
We have a rich back catalog. Anyway, so looking to the future now.
Yes.
This is the start of our very first project of this type.
Yes.
Let's jump onto that. We're going to talk about Aardman, and we're going to be talking about Aardman for 15, 20 minutes a week for the next 3 months, basically.
So if you don't like Aardman, you can skip ahead to our review.
We're gonna put the time codes on here. So if you are not interested in talking about some great stop motion animation, you can just skip ahead. And I feel sorry for you because it's pretty cool.
Yeah, Aardman rocks. Just throwing it out there.
So we're posting the watch list to this episode. If you want to pause right now, just watch through all these shorts. It honestly takes a really short amount of time.
You don't have to watch them all. Just watch a few of them.
I created a YouTube playlist that has 12 of the 13 on there. The only one that's not on there is A Grand Day Out. You have to track
the best one.
You have to track that down. You have to track that down somewhere. I have.
You have to pay for the good stuff.
I have on Blu-ray. But it was my first time seeing it.
It was your first time seeing it?
Well, we'll get into it.
Jesus. Okay.
Okay, so skip ahead if you're not interested. If you are interested, continue listening to us talking, which will continue now. All right. Well, start with you as the more British one.
Well, I'm really excited to get into this with you because I have no idea how Aardman traveled. Because I grew up in England. For those who don't know, I moved here when I was in my 20s. When I say here, I mean to Canada. So I don't know how Aardman played. Obviously, it got the Wallace and Gromit stuff took off, and the later stuff kind of was more widely known. But yeah, the early Aardman stuff in 80s and 90s, that's the stuff I grew up with. I was born in 84. Not to date myself, but that's exactly what I've just done.
Good Lord, Peter.
So I had Aardman my whole life growing up in England, and it was quite prevalent, right? We can get into it, but they did a lot of stuff.
Well, it's not just movies; it's TV shows, it's commercials, it's music videos.
Yeah, they did a lot of stuff that was integrated into TV shows, and funnily enough, a lot of stuff in commercials on UK TV. A lot of commercials would use Aardman and have Aardman stuff in them.
Well, I watched like a compilation video
right,
of like their best commercials or whatever.
Really?
There's a lot of like North American commercials in there too.
really?
They got
I didn't
hired
know that.
with. Yeah.
The main ones I know from commercials is that they had they made an actual character for this butter company.
Yeah, I saw about 50 of those.
Yeah, they did so many. I think they did them up until like 2000, mid 2000s, and started in like the 90s. But yeah, like it was very Wallace and Gromit type animation style for this guy playing like a trumpet. So I always remember. I think his name was Douglas or something.
So did your family buy that brand of butter?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I remember my nan had that. Yeah, it was the nice butter.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, that was their whole.
Well, because they're shelling out for Aardman to do some animation for them.
Right, exactly. It worked. And all the creature. We can get into the creature comfort shorts that they did which was animals talking about the zoo and stuff. They actually used those for commercials in England. That's why I'd seen them all, because they were all on TV as commercials for like the gas company, like the gas board. Used them. I don't know how it equated to energy, but I think they just like
use those same
those exact clips. They just put them up, and then it was like British Gas.
Okay.
Yeah, like, I don't remember how they made it work, but I just remember seeing it would come up on the TV, and it'd be like a couple of walruses talking or whatever it was, and like that's how I knew Aardman from adverts, but mostly through. I know you mentioned it earlier because I really want to know it through Morph. so I don't know how Morph was over here, but basically there was like a British artist called Tony Hart, I think his name was, but it was just like your typical kids art show, and that was when Morph was introduced, because they would make shorts that would be in that. So we'd be like, oh, like let's see what Morph's up to, and then it just cut to like this Aardman short about this little guy running around on a table, like getting into art supplies or whatever, and it was just like he was like a staple of my childhood. Would be Morph. It was such a simple design, but like it's just classic Aardman's, like literally made out of plasticine.
Well, so I'll tell you, like I wouldn't have been able to tell you his name is Morph.
Right.
I've seen him before. I don't know exactly where I've seen him before.
Yeah, just popped up somewhere.
I feel like I might have seen him like on Canadian television, like late at night.
Yeah,
watching
I'm sure it was one of those things.
Like weird after midnight
animation
things.
short clips. Yeah,
exactly. So I've been to like some like animation short festivals and showings and stuff, and so I have like some exposure there. Like, but in terms of like just like my mainstream exposure to Aardman stuff, like I think the first time I was ever aware was watching like I think it must have been the 2006 Oscars or whatever, and then it's like seeing the intro for Were Rabbit, like right before it won Best Animated.
Right.
And I'm like, I don't know what this is, but it looked very interesting. And then that like I watched that movie, and then I'm like, oh, okay, that's Wallace and Gromit. And then for a long time, I was the only one that I'd seen.
Yeah, that's so interesting to me, because growing up in England, everybody knew Wallace and Gromit. It was a staple.
Yeah.
Like as soon as Grand Day Out came out, it was just everywhere. And then everything they did after that was just like, it was must see television for if you're in the UK. It's crazy, really.
Yeah. Well, then I guess I would like I did see Chicken Run when it first came out too, right? And that's like the Wallace and Gromit stuff got the attention of DreamWorks, and then they're like, we got to partner with these guys, and then like their first one was Chicken Run, which we'll be talking about in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
And I love that movie.
Oh, it's such a good movie.
And I'm excited to show my kids that one, because we're going to be watching.
That was the one thing. Yeah, something I wanted to talk to you about. We both have kids, and we talked about it before. And like I got my kids hooked on Wallace and Gromit like a couple of years ago when they were pretty young. So like they've seen all of the Wallace and Gromit movies. Like they're super psyched about this new movie coming out because they love Wrong Trousers.
Yeah.
And I know that we're not getting into Wrong Trousers.
But it's a sequel, episode, right?
But yes, it's just a full-on sequel.
Well, and the timing worked out really well, because we're going to be talking about Wrong Trousers next week when we talk about Vengeance Most Foul. So we'll be able to kind of link those two closely together.
Yeah, I won't get into that right now, but Wrong Trousers is my favorite Wallace and Gromit movie. So
it's the only short I had seen before today.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
it's the best one.
Well, that's what everyone said. Like, and I can't deny that it's like it's a masterpiece. Like it's incredible.
It's so good.
Like maybe kind of just diving ahead. But I watched Grande Out with my kids today.
Right.
And I really liked it. Like, it's obviously not as good as Wrong Trousers, but it's the first time like they ever did Wallace and Gromit.
Yeah.
And
I mean, it looks dated now.
It looks dated, but like
it's old. But
you still just like I'm just like so impressed by like
story,
like the story and what they're able to accomplish.
Yeah.
Like it's really good. It's really funny. It kept the attention of a 2 and a 7-year-old.
That's what I mean.
The entire time.
And it's interesting because, and we can get into the early shorts and stuff, because I was watching back, because I hadn't seen any of like the actual early shorts they did like really early on.
Yeah.
And like I feel like they were always focused on the animation and like working on the animation, but it didn't seem like they really had much in terms of writing or ideas, and most of it was like just taking audio clips and just making animation around it.
So I think it's a really good idea we're just gonna take these clips and then we're gonna try to animate around the clips, like basically trying to recreate.
Yeah, and I think it was something that they did for animation at the time. It was like almost competition style. It was like take this audio clip and see what animation you can do for it, and then people would submit it. I think a lot of them was that, like those what are they called, like animated conversations.
Yeah,
I think that was a whole thing. I don't think that was just Aardman that did that.
And for these ones, like maybe that would explain it, because I feel like these are not like interesting choices for them to have picked
that's
for
what
it.
I mean. It's just so random.
So like the first one I think is called Down and Out. It's about like a British pensioner who's like trying to figure out how to get a meal, and he's confused. And like it's sad. And I'm sure it's emblematic of like big social issues in England at the time. But there's nothing like really like, groundbreaking about it. And the audio that they're using is really poor. Like you can tell that it's a recording, and like you can't hear people very well who aren't close to the microphone.
And it's so British as well. It's so funny. It's so like 80s or 70s, 80s British. It took me right back.
But I like if what they were trying to accomplish with, those first couple ones is like, try to get some kind of reality out of stop motion animation, I'd say that it's a success. Like it's a good proof of concept, but like they're not really doing anything very interesting in those animations. They're just kind of, just recreating basic stuff. And like the second one, I think it's Confessions of a Foyer Girl. Yeah. Like they're like splitting like real life stock footage in there, which I feel like is a little lazy.
That was a bit weird.
Like it's just like proof of concept stuff, but like their next batch gets a little more interesting. I sent you the list of them so we can kind of keep track here. But
let me pull that up right now. So there was Confession of a Foyer Girl, On Probation. I think that was the one I liked the best. The On Probation one, because like the most stupid conversation between this guy wanting to go and see his brother.
Oh yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Like it's just like a routine, and like this one guy's just being a dick, saying like you got to negotiate with me or whatever.
It's so funny.
Like I'm just like I felt like I understand that whole situation. I feel like I was in the room, but like I still don't know why this as opposed to like a bunch of other clips you could have picked.
I think the thing that I took from it is like it's not really important what it is. It's just an excuse for them to animate stuff and try and do different things.
It's really it's
they're just honing their craft is all it was.
It's Peter Lord and it's David was Sorowitz, is that his name?
Yeah, I think that's
like the two founders of Aardman, who kind of just started like penniless in the 70s or whatever.
We just want to make a movie, so let's just play with it and see what happens.
Made various partnerships with BBC and Channel 4. I had to learn what Channel 4 was this week.
That's brilliant. I love that.
Seems like they got really popular in the 90s just doing reruns of American shows.
Yeah, they did a lot of that for sure.
There you go. So I got it.
Yeah.
Then like getting onto shorts like Early Bird, I really, really liked.
Oh yeah.
It takes a clip of like a radio morning show, but then
that was a good one.
He just like he's brushing his teeth in between audio clips, like he's making toast and stuff. Like, and it's kind of like it almost seems like Brazil a little bit. I think it came out like a couple of years before Brazil. But so like there's just some interesting stuff going on in the animation there.
What I really appreciated in watching that stuff is just like you can see the sort of progression.
Exactly.
You can see you can see them holding their craft and just getting slightly better and doing new and different things.
Well, that like by the time it got to the early 80s, they're good enough at it that they can get creative.
Yeah, because they're actually doing stuff.
They don't have to do it straight.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the other one I really liked Babylon. I thought it was
That was
fucking
so
weird as hell.
trippy. That took me for a loop because I was like, yeah, Aardman. I know Aardman. It's all like kids, wacky kid stuff and funny adventures. And I was sat and watched that Babylon. I was like, oh my god, what is happening? I'm like having an existential crisis or like this apocalyptic, like horrible, like prescient story about how the elites are screwing us.
Yeah. And then I hadn't looked this up, but what came out first, Babylon or Monty Python's Meaning of Life? Because they both have like
yes,
people exploding.
That's a really great and like
people
similar looking characters. To be honest with you,
well, like it's both doing like the upper class is so greedy and hungry that they literally just explode. And I'm pretty sure that guy's supposed to be Mussolini, right? Like he just
maybe yeah.
But no, I found that one really interesting and very, very surprising. Like you, like I thought it was all going to be like.
Well, there you go. It was Monty Python's 83. That was 86. So
okay, so there you go. They ripped it off.
Bit of an homage. Well, I mean, Monty Python liked a bit of animation as well, didn't they? So,
well, there you go. Yeah,
I'm sure they were buddies.
And then what are some other ones there before we get to the Wallace and Gromit stuff?
There wasn't really much until Grand Day Out. The Grand Day Out was next, really.
Oh, well, okay. So I think so Nick Park joined in like the early 80s, and like he's like kind of the undisputed genius that makes Aardman
he's the one
work.
that made Aardman what it is.
Yeah,
really, to be honest.
And so when he was working on post-production for Grand Day Out, he kind of just like put together Creature Comforts as like one part of their 5-part series on I think it's the Lip Sync series or whatever. Yeah. And that was my first time seeing it. It's really, really clever.
It's really good, isn't it? It's really clever the way they did that, and
it's crazy how influential it was.
And you can see how that's when like they figured out this is the animation we're doing.
Well, no, I feel like he's kind of finally the one who realized like you can like do interesting things with this lip sync thing. Like you don't have to play it straight. Like you
don't have to just take weird conversations between a probation officer and some idiot. Like you can actually do it in a fun way.
Yeah, like and like the fact that it leaned into the fact that it's an interview, so then like the audio makes sense.
Yep.
But then you just change the context of what that interview is all about. Like it's
such a smart thing that it did. It works so well.
Yeah, and then that's the one that won an Oscar, right? And that's the one that kind of got Aardman on the map.
Put him on the map for sure. Yeah.
And then Grand Day Out came out the same exact year, right? Yeah. And it's kind of weird that one won over Grand Day Out, but
it is, yeah, for sure.
But no, then that's my first time seeing that one, and I had to explain to my daughter that no, the moon's not really made of cheese, because she'd never heard that trope before, right?
Yeah,
it's like the oldest.
When I was growing up, I just assumed that trope had been created by Wallace and Gromit, because that would have been the first time I would have seen it, because I would have been a kid. Like
what's funny because he says it is like everyone knows the moon's made of cheese.
Yeah, and I'm like, Wallace and Gromit said the moon's made of cheese. They went there and ate it. Yeah. Oh,
and then like it seems like that Wallace and Gromit short like owed a lot to Looney Tunes. Like it is like going to the moon feels very much like Duck Dodgers in the 34th century, whatever. I don't know if that's like really fair comparison. Like I've seen other Wallace and Gromit stuff. It doesn't seem Looney Tunes at all.
No, it's not. That's the most like. It almost seemed like going back and watching it now. It's like the genesis of the idea of Wallace and Gromit.
Figuring it out.
Yeah, it's almost like we need to. We've got the idea of what we want to do. But we're kind of figuring it out.
Well, like their dynamic is not really established in that one.
No, exactly.
Gromit like really just like rolls his eyes the entire time. That's the only thing he really does.
Yeah, well, he's good at it.
He's very good at it, and he's a more fleshed out character in the other ones. Like he's really just like a sarcastic.
He's like
dog.
he's the main character.
No,
mostly,
definitely,
right?
yeah.
It's all about what Gromit's up to, and Wallace is just dicking around in the background.
Well, like I think
they had to get there though, right? So it was like the launch pad of those characters.
It seems like Wallace's genius kind of carried through,
right?
But he also got stupider. as he went along too. This one, he almost seems too competent. Besides,
Yeah.
like not realizing you can go to the grocery store to get cheese.
Not for free though.
And then another one that I wanted to mention was the last one on our list, which was Next, which I thought was great.
I didn't watch any of the others, so like the War Story or Going Equipped or Ident or Next. I didn't see. I'm not seen those, and I've not had a chance to watch them. So Next is good, is it?
It's
Give us a quick rundown on what happens in Next.
So it's a Shakespearean actor on stage.
Okay.
He's doing an audition in front of one person,
Right.
and in 5 minutes he goes through the complete works of Shakespeare. Like it's like Shakespeare's speed run, and like I don't know every Shakespeare play, so I don't get every single reference, but like it's like really impressive what they do.
That does sound cool.
So I really liked it. Ident, I realized halfway through I'd seen before, and I had no idea.
Oh, wow.
Like I'd seen it in one of those like midnight screening things that I went to in university.
You misspent youth.
Because it's super duper weird. Like it's like, you know, some of that like Eastern European stop motion stuff.
It's interesting because I mean maybe I'm just not aware, and we can get into this next time when we watch even more of their stuff after the 90s or after 1990, I should say. But like in my mind, Aardman was always just like kid friendly because I was a kid watching it, right? So I just don't know if maybe they continue doing these crazy, interesting sort of wacky, like, not wacky, but like mind bending stuff, and I just wasn't aware of it because it wasn't targeted to me, and I never really looked into it, or whether they moved away from it in the 90s and really lent into the Wallace and Gromit stuff.
Well, because it seems like, you know, once they make that partnership with DreamWorks in the late 90s, they're doing a lot less shorts.
Oh, yeah,
really. And like it's all mostly stuff towards kids, but like, well, not even like kids, like it's stuff that like adults love, but then kids can also enjoy.
Exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, like I feel like as a company, they're kind of starting out with the thesis of like cartoons can be for adults too, and then they kind of slowly lose that, but like kind of still keep that kind of edge.
True. Yeah.
I don't know if people would say Wallace and Gromit is edgy, but like it's but you know it's got like this like cynicism.
Yeah. Well, I mean you could say that. I mean it's the thing is it's come a long way as well. Like that's the really interesting thing about watching this early stuff. It's like you really can see the progression and the big leaps. And it's the same with any kind of animation when you look at how it develops. Same with like what Pixar were doing with the digital stuff. It's like you see how big the leaps are and how quickly they're able to make improvements to find that style, and it's just so interesting to watch.
Really, like I do really see like a lot of connections between Aardman and Pixar, like both kind of pioneers in their own regards.
Exactly. Yeah.
So no, I'm really excited to keep talking about this every week. Like I think
I could just continue talking now forever, but we're not going to do that.
I think stop motion animation is the coolest shit in the world.
To be totally honest with you, it boggles my mind how you're able to do it.
Yeah, I can't.
Especially so well. I know we talked about it on our Coraline episode, it goes into that. But it's just like, it just almost seems like magic to me to be able to actually do it that well.
Well, it's like, you know, what did you do today? Like I moved someone's arm a quarter of an inch.
It took me all day and I got I got 14 frames of footage done today.
It's just incredible. Like, you know, like, and God bless these people who spend their days doing this. Like it's amazing.
Like how do you keep motivated to do that? Like I'm an instant gratification kind of guy. So like having to work a year to get something that's like 2 minutes long, I don't know if I have the confidence in myself to keep doing it.
I think Grand Day Out, it was like 3 years to make that.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd have to check after.
It's not that long, right?
And it's like, it's 25 minutes long.
But can you imagine like back in the day doing that and you'd spent like a year and a half on something and then you're like, this is not going right. Like, this is shit. This is not what I wanted to do. Like, this is not what I had imagined in my head how this is going to look. It's like, well, it's too bad. Like, you got to keep going.
I think that's what happened to Barry Jenkins and Mufasa.
Really? I heard he wasn't that bad.
Wow. He's very disgruntled about the whole thing.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
I hadn't read that.
Well, because he didn't really quite grasp how little control he would have over stuff, right?
Yeah.
Which, you know, might be a little naive, but like he's like a real artist.
I don't really understand why he did that.
No one does.
He must have paid a lot of money or something. But from what I hear, it's not that bad of a movie.
I'll never watch it.
No, me neither. But I heard it's.
Well, anyway, so we're here at the theater. We're gonna be talking Aardman every week. We really encourage everyone to watch along. We have our whole schedule for January coming out. It's already out. We'll be linking it to this podcast episode.
Mm-hmm.
I also have a link to like all the movies we'll be watching over the next 3 months. So really do watch along. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. I can't wait.
Yeah, and give us some feedback, guys. Are you into this idea? You like to see us doing some projects like this moving forward? And if you do, what would you like us to tackle after we get through with Aardman? Like, what do you want to get into? Let us know.
Yeah, we'll do it.
Yeah, we'll do it. We'll do whatever you say.
I have nothing else to do, so I will do it.
Yeah, we don't want to think of everything.
All right. Well, so for folks who are new to the podcast, Pete and I are going to go and watch Nosferatu. Then we're going to come back and give you a spoiler-free review before giving you plenty of warning before going into spoiler talk. And then we'll also tell you about the best time to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, I need that pee report.
All right. Anything else to say before we go in?
No, I'm excited for this one.
I'm scared. I think it's going to be very scary.
Don't say that. I'll be too terrified.
All right. Well, wish us luck, everybody.
Yeah, don't go anywhere. Welcome back, everyone. We just got back in the car after seeing Nosferatu 2024. So what do you think, Trevor? Is it my turn to go first this week?
That was a lot like Dracula, don't you think?
Yeah, I saw some similarities there in the story.
Yeah. Well, sure. Why don't you go first, Pete? What did you think? And for folks listening at home, like, Pete and I do not talk to each other at all as we're leaving the theater.
Well, I mean, we can say certain things, but we don't talk about the movie at all. You can say like, "Hey, where's my bag?" That kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, we hold all reactions until we get the recorder going. That's the plan.
Okay. So yeah, what do you think, Pete?
I thought I liked it. I think it was incredibly well done. I mean, your man Eggers, he knows his onions. He definitely knows how to make a movie. But my only thing with it was that I don't know if it offered me much more in terms of a Dracula story. Which I don't know if I was expecting anything more. I mean, what I don't know how you make it any different, but part of me was a bit like, I feel like I've seen a lot of this before because you have.
Well, so I'll go into more detail, but I think he's playing with that expectation a lot.
And the other thing that didn't quite work always for me was the creature design for the actual Nosferatu. And I don't want to get too spoilery into it because they do kind of keep it under wraps for the first bit of the movie, so we can wait till spoilers to get into specifics on that. But it took me out of it at certain times. But I kind of understand why the decision behind it, but I just thought it didn't really work for me as well as I thought.
So that's a part where I will agree with you.
Yeah.
I think I found the design a little disappointing.
Yeah.
I think the design paid off in the last couple minutes of the movie.
Yeah, I'll give you that. Yeah. My thing was, I want to wait till spoilers to get into that, especially when we talk about the end. So I might be able to put a pin in that. But yeah, I've definitely got some opinions on that.
So I sort of agree. I would honestly say like maybe Bill Skarsgård might be like the weak point of the film.
Yeah, I would agree with that, to be honest with you.
Even saying that, I fucking love this movie. I thought it was so good. I absolutely loved it. I want to say it's the best version I've seen, but I like recency bias is a big thing. Like, but I'm buzzing right now. Well, I really had a great time.
Honestly, I won't argue against that. I think, like I say, it was incredibly well done. I thought it was insanely well done. I think what I've discovered is that I just don't like the Dracula story very much. It doesn't really get me.
Well, that's
I find it a little bit tacky at points, but I think that's just me how I relate to the Dracula story. So I think I was looking for a bit more, like give me something more that will sort of like get me more invested in that story, which it didn't. Which if you like that story, you don't need it, I guess.
So I would say the one area it definitely did something new, and I don't want to say exactly what it is, but getting into like it did modernize it in a way. Man, it's impossible to say.
Yeah, it's hard. I won't spoil things.
But I think in the way that it's, I can't remember like the main character's name, like the woman character.
No, I can't remember her name either. That's pretty bad, right?
I think her. Well, I honestly can't remember a single character's name from the movie. I think
Thomas. I know Thomas.
Thomas. There you go. Well, she says it a lot. Yeah, she says Thomas
she says
a lot.
It a lot. It's the only one that's easy to remember.
I think her character and her backstory and her motivations are kind of what is like.
That's true.
Very unique and very modern about the movie.
Saying it's the woke version of Dracula.
No, that's not what I'm saying about.
They made it all about the woman.
Well, all these stories sort of are, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Anyways,
yeah. I was just being silly.
But like, and I certainly hear what you're saying. Like, if like the core material doesn't resonate with you, it's hard to like even appreciate it. If even if this is the best version of that.
I want to be clear. I didn't dislike this movie at all. I thought it was pretty amazing. It's just the story. Like I said, the story doesn't resonate with me that much. So
that's sort of like, I don't know if you've seen Steven Spielberg's West Side Story. Like it came out like
for the same reason.
2020.
I know I would feel the same way.
It was like the most like technically proficient, gorgeous movie.
This is the best you can do of this movie.
I don't like the play at all. Like I don't like I like plenty of the songs. I just don't like the core musical. Like I don't like Tony as a character. I think he sucks. So I totally get what you're saying. If you just are not vibing with the whole Dracula thing, then yeah, I totally get that.
Dislike, you know what? I just had a thought here, and I'd love to hear your opinion. But I don't know if I wasn't as scared as I thought I was going to be. Were you scared?
I'm scared all the time about everything.
Well, so am I. That's why I thought I'd be more scared. Like, I kind of like there's certain parts where I felt like I should, like, it was telling me I should be scared, and I was thinking to myself, I should be more scared than I am right now, and I'm not overly like it was very tense. I'll tell you what, the first. Yeah, and I think it is. I think it's when it reveals more of the actual creature, the Nosferatu. When that's revealed more, I got less scared. Because like at the start, where it was not showing you what he looked like, and it was just all very intense terror in Nicholas Holt's face. Like I was feeling it then, but then as soon as it was like revealed, I was a bit like, meh.
So Nicholas Hoult wandering through the castle, I thought was very scary.
Was so good.
Him traveling there, I found very scary.
Some of those shots were so immense.
I found the opening of the movie incredibly terrifying.
Yes, I'll give you that. That's what I mean.
I think it had like one of the strongest starts ever.
Right.
And I thought it was going to do like a, 1 week earlier thing or something, right, no, but it goes like several years later. I'm like, what is this doing?
It confused me for a while, but then I kind of pieced it together what was going on.
And like them wandering through Aaron Taron Johnson's house.
I thought was very scary. I thought he was very good. He's always very good. I really want. I think I do. I got a crush on Aaron Taylor Johnson. I want to go see Craven now.
Well, yeah. Well, good for Aaron for having one hit in the month of December.
So Craven was playing like at the theater across from this, which made me laugh.
It's crazy that. Yeah. Well, we should say
he was so good in this, though.
We weren't able to see this in IMAX because of Mufasa, which was a bit disappointing.
That is disappointing, but what are you going to do?
What are you going to do?
It would look incredible in IMAX, though, wouldn't it? Oh, my word. If you can see it in IMAX, I would definitely suggest that you do that, because I think it would look incredible.
Would you mind pulling up just like the IMDb of the cast? Because I feel like I really want to shout out like the main actress. I don't really think I know what she's been in.
I can't remember either.
I think her performance is incredible.
Yeah, she was amazing.
I think, to be like, I've seen a lot of new movies this year. I think that's my favorite performance from an actress this year.
Wow, there you go. You heard it here first, guys.
And Nicholas Hoult, who I always like, I thought, his like the first third of the movie with him was also the best work I've seen of his.
Oh, what we didn't talk about? Renfield.
Oh yes,
Did you ever see it? Did you ever see Renfield?
I saw Renfield. And
I saw it
so
too.
he's
Nicolas
been,
Cage as Dracula.
I
Come
thought it
on
was
now.
I thought it was funny when I saw that Nicholas Hoult was cast in this movie because he was like he has been in 2 Dracula movies in back-to-back years,
I
which
totally
is very
forgot.
funny.
Oh, you know who it is? It's Lily-Rose Depp.
Okay, yeah.
I didn't put that
recognize
together.
her.
No, she's come a long way, man. Wow, fair play, Lily-Rose Depp.
Well, and
she's come a long way since Yoga Hoses.
So I want to look this up on online to see if anyone else has kind of made the same comparison.
Oh,
but I think
Trevor, throw it out there.
No, it kind of sounds like silly, but like I think if you've ever seen Bergman's The Seventh Seal, I think that like her hairstyle looks like Death from that movie.
Okay, good, because I was going to bring that up because it was throwing me off. It was like taking me out of the movie. Her hairstyle is very unusual.
I honestly like if someone else has said that her hair looks like Death from The Seventh Seal, I'll feel a little better because I feel like I'm a little mean saying that, but like. It has to be because it's such a deliberate choice. Like
that's what I thought. I thought like this. That is a very deliberate choice to have that hairstyle, and it is very distracting. And I was like, is that just like how women used to wear their hair in like Germany in the 1800s?
It does. Yeah, it does look very.
Maybe it's just a super period and accurate, but nobody else seems to be doing that. So
everyone else had to have good hair.
Yeah, everyone else looked really good. Like, why did they do that to Lily-Rose Depp?
And then obviously, enough can't be said about Willem Dafoe. He's doing his thing. He's not doing anything we haven't seen him do before. But man, I love it. I love watching. It's
just like effortless.
Yeah,
for him, right? It's just like he gets out of bed, shows up, is like, yeah, I'll just do this, and it's like, oh, that was amazing.
Like he was born to be like a 65-year-old man playing like these character actor roles. Like he really was. He's just been slowly incubating in the oven for us until this moment.
He's just been preparing. Yeah, now he's just knocking him out of the park every time.
Fucking unbelievable.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
And he won't get a nomination for this one.
No, and it's like you said, though. It's like Skarsgård is a weak leg. I don't think that's even really a slight because everyone in this movie is doing great work.
Yeah, not that he's bad. Like, I think he's doing a very interesting voice that's kind of doing like a Bela Lugosi thing, but like, very, very Germanic and Russian or whatever.
Yeah, it's definitely got an accent. It's hard to place, right? It's like old Bavarian accent, I guess.
Yeah. So and he's doing like a new interpretation of the character. Like, like they didn't go with the like original Nosferatu look, like the shaved head thing.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think it's a spoiler to say he doesn't have a shaved head.
No,
I guess
it's not like any version you've ever seen, really.
Yeah, and like exactly. I don't think he's bad, but just the other performances are very strong. Like the guy who plays like the Renfell type character in this one, and it's a character actor you've seen a million times. I don't know what his name is, but I don't know. He's also amazing.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, he was really good, man. Because like that could have been a silly role, right?
Yeah, well, like
but it was terrifying.
Everyone is going as big as they possibly can, right? And it's all working.
But it works.
And Skarsgård is not going big. You know what I mean? Like he's
not going big enough. Maybe, I don't know.
But like there are like 3 or 4 performances in this movie that like have like really meaty, I'm going crazy scenes.
Oh yeah,
and like they all
different
work.
Characters, right? Yeah, I'll give you that.
And like, so what did you think of just like the look of the movie?
Oh, I thought it was amazing. I think I love his style of movie making. I think it's gorgeous.
Like we've seen a lot of like that like grayed, washed out look in recent history, but like this is like what they're trying to do.
Exactly, exactly. It's like all those like it should not look great because everyone's trying to get this look, but it's just like it's almost like effortless. It's like he's perfected it.
Well, like this is like that's like the style that like not quite, but like the Russo brothers in like Captain America Winter Soldier are like they're going for like a cool grayed out look like this.
What you mean, like a desaturated sort of thing?
Yeah, but like this is how you do it. Like I was thinking that when Nicholas Hoult is like climbing the mountains or whatever, like it's just like it's almost black and white.
It's almost monochrome, right? At points, and you're like, is it? And it's like, no, it's just It's really dark. It's just really dark.
Who is the DP for this movie?
That's a good question. I don't know. I'll look that one up.
So you can listen to the sound of Pete Googling or whatever.
Okay.
So there were some, I would say, mixed reactions from the crowd as we were getting up from our seats. Like it was actually a really, really young crowd, which I found surprising. Like a lot of like early 20-somethings or whatever. And I feel like it wasn't like a complete hit with that group.
Yeah, it did seem a little mixed, right?
Well, I had a very interesting experience when I went to see The Witch.
Okay.
And The Witch had this thing where, you know, it's an A24 movie and they're like they're advertising it as like a very like hard horror movie or whatever.
Right.
And then but it's very much like a period art piece, like like a surrealist horror,
right.
which like the teenage and early 20-something crowd that it attracted was not used to.
You can't market to that either, really, can you?
And like there's a scene in The Witch where a goat starts talking. And
yes, I have heard that.
It's the
people laughing.
Well, I think it's the scariest thing like I've ever seen. But like the theater was like snickering or whatever. Like I didn't quite hear snickers.
I think Joe, you had some belly laughs at certain points.
Well, honestly,
by yourself.
Honestly, this movie is funny. Like there are some really funny moments in here. Like it has like these two innocent little girls in there, and the movie is completely playing with our expectation of showing like two young kids on screen. And I like Eggers knows exactly what he's doing and exactly what he's playing with the audience, and he's milking that for everything. I found that very, very funny. Like they're literally like going to bed singing the Lord's Prayer, which I think is very funny.
Yeah,
because we've seen Dracula before, right? That's what Eggers is doing. He's like, you know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I don't know. And
that's not a spoiler because I'm not saying if it happens or not.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. It obviously didn't get me as much as it got you, but yeah, I totally see where you're coming from. Though it's definitely doing it on purpose, but I don't know. For me, I was just like, yeah, I get it. I don't know.
I think this is like a Killers of the Flower Moon situation where I'm saying like, maybe it's a masterpiece, and you're like, it's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean,
horror's also not like your number one thing, right?
I'm not a big horror guy. That's fair, but yeah, for me it was a bit. And honestly, I think it could have done with being a little less long.
Oh, I clocked it at 2 hours 5.
Yeah, there was just a couple of points in it where I felt like it was dragging a little bit. When I was like, there's only so much like plummy British accents I can listen to for 2 hours. Like even though they were being delivered incredibly well, it's just like, can we move this along a little bit now?
You Brits really did luck out, right? Like, because you cast someone as British and like, oh, they're German. There you go.
That's the funny thing. It's like the one bit like people are speaking German or not German, like a different dialect, and I'm like, okay, well, what? You go back to that same argument. It's like, so who's speaking German and who's not? Because they're speaking very British. Are they supposed to be speaking German? And everyone who sounds like Eastern European is not German. I'm so confused.
Well, it's kind of funny because like Nicholas Hoult Thomas arrives at an inn and they're speaking to him in German and he just responds to them in English.
That's what I mean. Because it's supposed to be a different country, right? So I guess it's a different dialect. So maybe it's not technically.
Well, because like they're in Transylvania, which is like still Germany, right?
Yeah.
Like, but like there wasn't just one Germany.
Exactly, it's a slightly different dialect. That's why it's confusing because it's like, oh, they're speaking a slightly different dialect, but it's a completely different language. Yeah. So he can kind of understand them. Even though it's not English at all. He's speaking English.
I just sort of took it that they're both speaking German. One's a different dialect. I think they completely understand each other. It's just for the sake of us as the audience.
But then there's the one scene when there's literally a woman translating the German into English for him.
Is she doing German or is she doing Latin?
Oh, is that what it was?
Well, because they're like Eastern Orthodox.
Yes, I guess
church,
okay.
Right?
Yes,
so
maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's Latin. Yeah, stuff like that confuses me because it's like a very
I don't like
German accent.
Honestly, like they could be speaking German too. Like it's not like I know Latin from hearing it.
And it's not like it doesn't ruin anything, but yeah, I don't know. I just felt like they go through a lot of the plot in this movie. I felt like it could have been a little bit tighter.
Well,
but I always think that about
they
movies.
certainly like they check all the boxes, but like how long they take on certain check marks, I think is what is interesting about this movie, which we'll get into more in spoilers.
Right.
Well, this was a really dark movie too. Like,
you mean like physically?
Like, so. Like,
those certain scenes where it's just so black.
Like, I have to think like a lot of scenes are done by natural light.
Yeah.
I'd have to look it up afterwards.
And honestly, usually that I really don't like that. It really irritates me. But I thought it really worked in this, especially like at the beginning when he's going up to the castle. It was so dark.
And when you're seeing Orlok for the first 7 times, like you don't really get a good look at his face, which I think is to the advantage of the character. Yeah,
so I thought that's what I mean. I think it worked really well in those scenes. Like it's kind of out of focus enough to the side of frame and that kind of thing. Like they did a really good job of sort of keeping the suspense around that, and it was so tense. And the whole did a great job of just being like, I am absolutely bricking it right now. I don't know what's happening.
Well, the movie doesn't really give you a chance to relax. It's a stressful movie the entire way through.
Exactly.
I would say for my P report, you went at 1 hour 5 minutes. I think you went at a bad time.
Oh, really?
You went at a bad time. Yeah.
Dang it.
You missed some key stuff.
Oh, man. I'll have to get inside the spoiler section.
Sorry. Like she does sort of like, she kind of like,
Maybe
gives more of the backstory later.
If I stayed in my seat, maybe I wouldn't be able to turn around on the movie.
When you say turn around, like did you not like it?
No, I did like it.
Okay.
No, yeah, I'm being facetious there. I don't want it to come across like I didn't like it. I did like it. I just don't think it's like a masterpiece or anything.
So I would say 1 hour 17 minutes. A naked insane man starts running down the cobblestones. We have about a few more minutes of just seeing a lot of rats on the street. So there's some flavor there that you might miss, but it's a good time to hit the head.
Yeah, it's hard. It is hard to pick a time though, and you're not going to miss anything.
Well, there's a lot of character development.
There is. Nobody really gets shortchanged.
So if you are new to the pod, Pete and I are just about to head into spoilers. Drop off now if you don't want anything spoiled for you, but we'd certainly love for you to drop back in once you've seen the movie. Hit us up at firstlookfinalwordpod@gmail.com. We're on all those socials. We're running a contest on Letterboxd right now.
Yes, we are.
If you subscribe and give us 5 stars, then we'll enter you into a draw to win a free year's subscription to Letterboxd Patron. So definitely check that out. So listening can be worth your while here.
Yes. Before you drop off, the DP it looks like his normal DP, Yarin Blanchk.
Okay. Yeah,
so I apologize, Yarin, for that pronunciation of your name, but he's doing good. He's doing good work.
Yeah. Well, especially like I think this and Lighthouse are just like
beautifully shot,
incredible. Not like any knock at like Northman or anything. But I think this is his best shot film, and this is my favorite Eggers film. So that's a big endorsement for me to go see this movie.
And I can really understand why he wanted it to be his second movie. You can tell it was like, this movie is made for me to make it. Like, I need to make a Nosferatu movie because it's everything that I'm brilliant at. I can put into this movie and make it amazing.
Well, and he did.
Yeah, he did.
All right. Anything else, Pete, before we jump into spoilers?
No, I don't think so. I think we can jump right into it.
Okay. Jump off now if spoilers bother you. 3, 2, 1.
All right.
Where
are we going to start with spoilers, Trevor? Do you want to start with, what's his name? Oleg?
So this kind of gets to my like overall approach to the movie.
Okay. Lay on us.
And as we were leaving the theater, these youngins beside me were complaining about the movie.
Oh, were they?
Yes.
What was their complaint, Trevor?
They were complaining that there was too much sex and stuff.
Seriously?
In the movie.
I've honestly been hearing that that generation does not like sex in movies.
So these guys
they don't want it at all, Trevor. No nookie.
The thing that the guy said, he's like this could have been a lot better movie if like there wasn't so much sex, there wasn't so much moaning and nudity and stuff like that.
Wow. I was a bit like, I think there should have been a bit more of that. I was expecting more of it.
Interesting. Okay.
Although there was enough, I think. but I was expecting more. I thought there'd be more sexiness.
I just think, like, you know, not to rag on this person, but I think that's a stupid opinion, because I think, like, sex is, like, literally what this movie's about.
Yeah, I don't really understand that opinion in general. I mean, I get, like, there's a lot of talk about unnecessary sex scenes in movies and just, like, throwing them in there for no reason, just for titillation, which I can understand that argument. But the whole, like, there shouldn't be any sex scenes in movies, I think, is just weird.
Well, I really want to give a shout out to a very famous podcast that does not need a shout out from me, but
give them the credit.
Karina Longworth's podcast, You Must Remember This.
Okay.
That it's like it's a Hollywood history podcast.
Oh, okay.
It deals with, like, you know, famous stuff in Hollywood from the first, like, in the 20th century.
Okay.
Her last 2 seasons have been erotic 80s and erotic 90s.
Oh, wow.
Basically talks about, like, kind of like the heyday of, like, sexy
that'd
movies.
be the heyday for sure.
And kind of like their decline. And, like, in the 90s, like, you have, like, you know, cable TV coming out and kind of fulfilling that sort of role. And then, like, you know, the ubiquity of pornography now. People aren't really looking for sex in their movies or stuff anymore. Right. And it is weird, like, a phenomenon that I notice online is I see people complaining about, like, you know, nudity or sex scenes in movies. And I'm like, wow, it's so weird. Cause, like, when I was a kid growing up,
it's like, which of the movies that have that, please?
Exactly. But, like, you know, but it is kind of funny, like, that someone would look at this movie and say, like, I wish there wasn't so much sex in it, because that's the central thesis of the movie. Like, I don't know how else you would view it.
Exactly. And also, to add to that, like, there's not that much in there, and it's not gratuitous.
Like, no, not
how many
really.
How many sex scenes are in the movie? Like, not like 1, 2.
Well, there's
like, maybe 3 technically, but not really.
There's 1, then multiple if you include, like, all the feastings as sex scenes.
Yes,
like,
I get. But I mean, like, if you were young and complaining about sex scenes, how many are in that movie that are offensive to you?
Like there's 1 really.
That's it, really, right?
But so kind of going back to what I said
was
the overall approach. And what I think this movie is kind of setting itself apart for how others have approached the story is, you know, what is Depp's character's name in this one? I can't remember her character's name. I have to look it up later. But
we have to pull it up again now. Hold on.
You know, she was basically, like, assaulted at a young age.
Right, yeah.
And, like, she was just imprinted with this trauma that followed her into adulthood. Mm-hmm. And then that's kind of what the movie's about.
Right.
And, like, you know, this
Ellen.
Sorry, yes, that's right. So this, you know, this monster found her when she was young and took advantage of her, right? And that's kind of like that's the parable or whatever. Like, you can kind of take that literally or metaphorically, like maybe it was like a father's friend or something like that. But, like, basically this darkness haunted her when she was young, and it followed her and caused her all this trauma, which lay dormant and released itself as she.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could make a point that the whole movie is about dealing with the trauma of sexual assault at a young age, right?
I think that's exactly what it's about.
Yeah.
And, like, you know, I think when Nicholas Hoult goes to the castle, like, I think he is in turn assaulted.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And, like, she says, like, Ellen says to Thomas basically that, like, that same thing. Like, he told me that, like, you succumbed to him at the castle or whatever.
Yeah, very true.
And, like, the whole vampire thing has always been, like, you know, sucking blood is sex, right?
Yeah,
like that.
Yeah, basically, right.
So that's kind of I think what the modern spin on the movie is.
Okay.
And, like, they've done the thing before where, you know, the female character, I'm gonna say, like, I'm just gonna assume Ellen's the name of the character in all the Nosferatus, right? But, like,
right.
she uses her sexuality to keep them to mourning, and kind of becomes like the sacrificial lamb, but willingly. But this one, it kind of, it takes that, like, with their own trauma, then, like, using their own trauma as a way to, like, establish agency for themselves or whatever.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I guess this is woke Dracula, but like, you know,
basically, right? We came all the way around to saying it, but it is.
But like, I wouldn't take that as an insult.
No, exactly. There's nothing wrong with it.
I think it did modernize it in a very clever way that still stayed true to the source material.
Right. I like that.
I don't know if I'm convincing you at all.
No, I like that interpretation. I'm coming around to that.
And this leads into the design of the character.
Yeah, can we talk about that?
Because I think, like, you know, he looks scary in shadow.
Yes.
But
he looks scary from behind.
He looks scary from behind. I think his mustache is stupid.
Yes, it's incredibly stupid.
Like, I think maybe the mustache was put there to hide Bill Skarsgård's features more. Maybe to look a little more like Vlad the Impaler. I don't know.
Maybe. There's an argument to be made, though, that you could just remove that mustache and it would make it 10 times better.
Yeah, if they went closer to the original design, look like a fucking bat person.
It just didn't look scary, though, right? Like,
I agree.
Like, I get what they were going for. They were going for, like, old Bavarian count as a zombie.
Yeah.
Which I can get behind, but it just didn't look that scary.
So where I think it paid off is when the sun rises, and then
fucking hell, that was a great
shot.
The
sun shines on him, and then you see he's not a fucking scary monster. He's a pathetic, withering old man.
Right.
He's Harvey Weinstein showing up to his fucking court appearance.
Wow.
Maybe I'm reading too much into that, but I think, like, you know, shining a light on, like, perpetrators like that, they're just like these fucking pathetic little old men with limp dicks.
Yeah.
I think that's what
the final shot of the movie was very, very pointed, I thought.
Like, and they don't give him a dignified death. They give him, like, you know,
it wasn't like thing turned into a cloud of smoke or anything.
Yeah, like Gary Oldman dying at the end of Bram Stoker's Dracula, like, is a badass death.
Right, yeah.
And he looks cool doing it. this one, he's just like he's an old man who dies in jail, right? Like, anyways, that's how I'm reading into it.
Oh wow, Trevor's got a good, he's got a unique point, and that's one I think. No, I can see that. I thought it was pretty terrifying the way he sort of just like starts bleeding out of his eyes and crap.
That was so scary. Yeah, that was
just like screams and just like becomes emaciated. I was just like, oh my god, that is terrifying. That was the one legit point where I was like, that's terrifying. But like everything before that, and you know what? I couldn't get out of my head, and this might be exacerbated by the fact that Sonic 3 just came out. But every time I saw him, I was like, that's fucking
Jim Carrey.
That's Jim Carrey with Robotnik. He's got the hook nose and then big super mustache. I was like, that's Dr. Robotnik, and that is not scary.
I'm completely with you, man. I think the mustache was a bad call, but like, you know, but maybe they did it to make him look stupid when you shine light on him. Like that's kind of my working theory, and it still is like my only gripe with the movie is I think that the character design could be better.
Yeah,
but they were going for something different.
You know, you make a good point though. Maybe the idea was that like it is scary when it is all in the shadows and you don't see it properly, and it's all like a scary monster in the closet, but when you actually see it up close, it's like, oh, it's just a fucking dude who's a bit of an old knob.
Yeah. So I said
I could see that point of view, but I agree with you. It's just not good. It just doesn't work for me.
So I mentioned earlier how this kind of checks all the Dracula boxes,
right?
But where I did find it interesting is it has like their like the horror and the mania set in well before, you know, the Dracula character even gets to the town.
Exactly, yeah.
Because, like, you know, he isn't necessarily like the evil coming. Like, the evil's also like already there. And, like, she asked Willem Dafoe in a very poignant line, like, is evil come from within or without?
Right.
He doesn't have an answer for her. And so I think all the time they spend, like, him getting to the castle, showing how, like, close they are, and showing, like, you know, there is, like, real love in that relationship. And like showing like her deterioration and, you know, her coming back. So then by the time that he's there, then she's like, you know, making choices and not just being like a victim.
Right.
I think it kind of, it very smartly, in my opinion, like stacks a lot of the character stuff very early on in the movie. Like it's not all just like as a reaction to his arrival and then when he gets there, like everything happens so fast.
Yeah, that is true. And I think that's why where like my complaint was about how it felt a bit long in points. I felt like it took its time getting to that point, which is not necessarily a bad thing. Like you say, it gave a chance to work on all that stuff. But I don't know. For me, I was just a bit like, can we just get this moving because we know where it's going.
But I did find it interesting when like she basically sends all the men off on like busy work, right? They
Yeah,
burn,
I'll take care of this.
they burn down the castle, and it doesn't even matter because he dies in the room. Like every action that they took, and Nicholas Hoult is like, no, you better stay here alone by yourself. Like it's so stupid. But like he's just so convinced that he is the hero of the story, which I think is very funny. Like this movie has a big sense of humor, I think.
You think?
I do. Like, did you think? Like, because I was sticking a lot. No,
yeah,
not a lot of people
you were laughing by yourself. I didn't see it as necessarily as humor. I guess I see where you're coming from. But I didn't see it as a humor though. I just sort of saw it as knowing it knew what it was doing. But I didn't think it was in a humorous way necessarily.
Well, you mentioned that like, everyone's seen Dracula movies and they know what's going to happen. I felt like the dialogue was structured like purposely winking at the audience, like because they're like, oh, she's so full of plot, like.
It did say
and
that.
Stuff like that. And what was the one line Willem Dafoe said that I like just started cackling at?
Oh, I can't remember what that was now. There was it was hilarious. What was it that he said?
I'll have to look it up.
That was a funny line. Because I was laughing at that too. But yeah, there's a couple of lines where it's like obviously that's humorous, but yeah, I didn't like I wasn't looking deep into it like it seems like you were and seeing those links and maybe Edgar's sort of winking at the audience a little bit more. But maybe that's just because I don't really know the Dracula story as well as maybe other people. I don't know.
Did does the Thomas character, like, has he ever cut bread in his fucking life? Like, that's so stupid.
Who cuts bread that way?
It's like, I'm gonna cut bread against my thumb. Like, that's so dumb.
That's a good point.
Like,
I was wondering that. Like,
that's why I think his character is great because his character is just like a fucking idiot.
Yeah,
like,
he is kind of an idiot.
Like, there were so many warning signs for you to fucking turn around and go home. And he just kept going because he's like, oh, it's my job.
Yeah, the bit where it's like, you got to sign this contract. Don't worry about this language you don't even understand.
It's a language written in like quadratic formulas.
Yeah,
like
I'm definitely trustworthy. Oh, here's a bag of gold. Just sign it. Yeah. But I think that was, to your point, I think his character's supposed to be pretty pathetic, I think, right? Like, he's trying his best, but he's kind of screwing everything up. He's not really doing that well. They make a point of that he's like in tons of debt. He has to borrow from his friend. And
yeah, what was Aaron Taylor Johnson's friend's name? Is it Handler was the last name?
Yeah,
or something like that. Well, and Ellen has a confrontation with him, and I thought that their relationship was interesting.
Yeah,
she says like, "Why do you hate me?" Like,
yeah, I kind of felt like that came a little bit out of left field because it didn't seem like he was being a jerk or anything.
Well, I had got the impression before that, like when she was like sick in her bed and like moaning, that he had like a big attraction to her that he was like trying to keep dormant.
Okay.
Because like when she's by the water and she's trying to hold his hand for comfort, like he jerks it away because he can't see it as like a friendship thing. Like he's attracted to her and doesn't want to admit it.
Oh, interesting.
That's anyways, that's kind of where I took that as.
You're seeing a whole different movie that I saw, man. I missed so much apparently.
Well, it's good that we like can disagree sometimes on this.
Well, I'm not saying I disagree. I just say I didn't see it when I was watching it. Maybe I'm just not looking properly.
Because I think that like the male characters are like viewing Ellen as like just a sexual being,
right?
And I think that's a big part of like the problem of how the world treats her. Just sees her as like an object, and like, but this is in like 1830s Germany equivalent of that.
Right. Interested.
Right, like, and even her husband, who does love her, does not take her seriously. Like, she is like, she's telling him like, I'm having these terrible dreams, like I like these clearly disturbing dreams, and his response to her is like, don't ever say this to anybody.
Don't say this out loud.
Which I feel like is a very appropriate like for the period, right? Like his reaction is very appropriate.
It's an appropriate thing to say to your wife.
Yeah. That's not what I'm saying.
Give it to yourself, honey.
But like, it just kind of shows like she has no one to confide in. Like she's trying to tell her best friend like, hey, I think like I'm like the bride of Dracula, and she's like, isn't God great? You can hear his whisper on the wind, and she's like, no, that's not what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
So yeah, like every year I kind of do like my own version of the Oscars or whatever. I think like I definitely
this one up there.
Well, definitely this movie as a whole will be up there. Eggers for director, and then I definitely think Lily James Depp as best actress.
Oh,
I got her name right?
Lily Jones?
Lily
James? Lily James. Lily-Rose.
Lily-Rose Depp. Yeah, I thought her performance was really, really great. Probably Nicholas Hoult too. I thought was also very strong.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd go that far
for him or for either of them.
For either of them, I know.
So like her ranting and ravings, like they were
good. Like, I'm not saying that I didn't like it.
I like a good rant or rave.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like I feel like you're so up on this movie that it's making me like doubt myself.
You don't have to. You can just say it was mid. That's totally fine.
No, I don't think it was mid though. I really liked it. I just didn't think it was like it wasn't like full on like 5 stars for me.
Yeah, I think this is a 5-star for me, or very close to it. I'll have to give a tinker.
Yeah, but it was close. It was like a very high 4 for me, I would say.
Very high 4. Oh, that's pretty good.
Like that's what I mean. There's just like a few things that didn't really jive with me, but other than that, I thought it was pretty amazing.
All right, well that's good enough for me.
And I guess apparently I missed a shitload of subcontext. But no, well we're home though. We made it.
We made it home. Well, you know what? Let us know your thoughts on Nosferatu. You can email us at firstlookfinalwordpod@gmail.com.
Yes, please do.
Make sure to enter our Letterboxd contest. Follow us on Letterboxd and Blue Sky. I posted a few things on there.
Yeah, we got Blue Sky?
Yeah, there's only like 1,000 people on there right now.
Wow.
But
I didn't even realize we were on there.
I already mentioned it on an episode.
Oh, wow. I'm sorry.
We're on Instagram too.
Yeah, we're on all the big guys.
Yeah, not X anymore. Well, I think we do have an X account or whatever.
Yeah, we don't really talk about that anymore.
Yeah. So next week we have Vengeance Most Foul.
Yes,
and
looking forward to that. It's going to be a little bit different from this week.
Well, I don't know.
Maybe there'll be a sexual...
I don't trust that penguin.
Do you think there'll be a sexual assault subtext running through Vengeance Most Foul?
Well, you've seen the wrong trousers. You tell me.
Basically, I mean, whose trousers are we talking about, right?
Oh my gosh.
Anyway, yeah, so look forward to that, guys. It's going to be a good one. It's going to be a big Aardman episode next week.
That's right. Like, and if you haven't like kept up with the Aardman stuff, like we literally just started. Like it's very easy to catch up. Like watching the shorts up till 1990 is not like incredibly essential. Like you can just jump in right now. I think you're fine. Then catch some of the highlights too. It's going to be a fun couple months on the pod.
Yeah, they're good, man. They're worth your time.
They're great.
Don't go worrying about that. You can give them a watch.
Don't you go worrying about that.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about wasting your time.
That's a peak guarantee.
It's not
settle
homework,
in for a good afternoon.
Yeah, it's not boring homework. It's good time.
Yeah, like it's a club. It's a fun club.
It's a fun. You get to be part of it.
All right. Anything else, Pete?
No, I think we're good for this week. Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year.
And we'll look forward to joining you for many more episodes in the coming year. Till next time, that's the final word.